Uh, good day, everybody. How are you all? So, um, today, I'll tell you what the invention that I'll tell you that the invention of the process of using stones to create sparks to make fires at will was the greatest invention ever. I'll relate a fictional story where the process was invented by none other than Fred and Wilma Flintstone. Not only this, I'll speculate as to how that invention came about through the use of the Philosopher's Stone. Now, the Firemakers stones are two stones struck together in such a way as to generate a spark to create fire, something like this. Try it. You can there's a burning acrid smell. Quartz and feldspar were two of the best stones to use, they discovered. Now, there are many words in our language that we take for granted, but on closer inspection, they reveal a great deal about the connection between the field of natural philosophy and the nature of the human mind. The word spark is one of these. The philosopher's stone is a metaphor for the right question created by the human mind and used to create a spark of inspiration in the human mind. This triggers the answer to the question, the solution to the problem. So what was the question asked by Stone Age humans up to 3.5 million years ago at the beginning of the Stone Age? I say question in quotation marks because this was before the birth of language as we know it. There was just a raw instinctive desire to do something and a curiosity about how to do it. That was to be most probably that was the dawn of human civilization. So if the Stone Age man had been able to put the question into words, what would it have been? Well, they'd experienced trees and grasslands set alight by lightning strikes. And the heat and light generated at night by these fires could be quite warm, comforting, protect them from dangerous animals. These fires sometimes even trapped and cooked their favourite animals, saving a lot of trouble hunting and providing the new experience of delicious cooked food. If they had had language then, the question, the curiosity, I think, would have been, how can I create the fires caused by lightning? So here is my speculative story. So late one evening, as the dark was approaching, Fred was still bashing away with one rock against each other in order to sharpen the edge of his stone axe for hunting. So they had already invented the stone axe. As it was getting quite dark, he could see very small sparks shooting out as he was striking the stones against each other. Now, Fred remembered seeing these sparks rising up in the air from the fires caused by lightning. Now, it had also been very hot and dry these past few months, and there was also a layer of very dry, leafy material on the ground about them. Suddenly, a small fire started up right at Fred's feet. He stood back in shock and amazement. Now, Wilma, she'd just finished preparing some kangaroo meat and yams, which they were going to eat raw. They had already had experience of using fire because they had learnt to take a bit of fire from a lightning strike and keep that fire alive. But without any language at all, I really want you to try and grasp that concept. No language. Fred and Wilma had a realisation in their minds that the sparks came from the stones and the fire came from the sparks hitting the dry leaves. The two things that allowed them to make fire at will was their close observation under the right conditions and their ability to make connections between those observations. The Firemakers stones had been invented. Today I described how the invention of the process of creating fire from stones at will came about through the human mind achieving a sufficient level of awareness to closely observe nature, make relevant connections, and then mimic nature. Not only this invention provides a perfect metaphor for how the mind creates sparks of inspiration through asking the right questions. We could say we are using the stones to create sparks. The process of striking the stones to create sparks is another metaphor for asking the right question to create a spark of inspiration. So the beginning of every invention. I've told you today how Stone Age man observed how fires were made by lightning strikes and how they might have first seen sparks generated by stones being struck together. This provided the answer to the question, how can I create the fire made by the flash of lightning? This question, in the form of being curious about how to make fire and the natural ability for making close observations, was a mental spark that triggered the connections needed to create fire at will, the greatest human invention and the defining moment, I believe, of human civilization. Thanks everybody for listening.